Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar Alert. For years, the Iraqi dinar has been a hot topic, full of mystery, rumors, and intense debate. Some investors believe it's on the verge of becoming one of the world's strongest currencies. Others are convinced it will never see a significant rise in value. But there's one subject that keeps popping up again and again: Iraq's gold reserves. Many dinar supporters have a shocking theory. Iraq is secretly planning to back its currency with gold. They believe that when this truth is revealed, the dinar's value could skyrocket. But is this for real, or is it just another internet myth? To get to the bottom of this, we need to look at three powerful forces: gold reserves, oil wealth, and the central bank's monetary policy. The truth is, a currency's value isn't random, it's carefully managed. And Iraq might be sitting on a financial weapon that most people don't fully understand. So what actually gives a currency its value? Most people think money is valuable just because a government says it is. That's only part of the story. In reality, a currency's value is built on confidence and what's backing it. There are two main types of money systems. First, there's fiat currency, which is what almost every country uses today, like the US dollar, the euro, or the British pound. Fiat money isn't backed by physical assets like gold or silver. It's backed by trust in the government and the strength of its economy. If people trust the economy, the currency stays strong. If they lose confidence, the currency can collapse. We saw this happen with hyperinflation in countries like Venezuela and Zimbabwe. The second type is an asset-backed currency. This is different. An asset-backed currency is supported by real, tangible wealth, such as gold, silver, oil, or foreign currency reserves. Before 1971, the US dollar itself was backed by gold. This was known as the gold standard. And this is where Iraq gets really interesting, because Iraq is one of the few countries in the world that has both massive natural resources and rapidly growing gold reserves. Let's talk about the gold standard and why gold still secretly controls money. In 1944, world leaders agreed on the Bretton Woods system. The rule was simple. Every major currency would be tied to the US dollar, and the US dollar would be tied to gold at a rate of $35 per ounce. This created financial stability around the globe. But in 1971, something historic happened. US President Richard Nixon ended the gold standard. This event, known as the Nixon shock, turned the dollar into a fiat currency. Suddenly, governments could print unlimited amounts of money, which is a big reason we have inflation today. But here's the secret many people don't know. Central banks never stopped accumulating gold. They publicly adopted fiat systems, but privately they kept buying gold. Why? Because gold is the one asset that can't be printed, can't be hacked, and can't be defaulted on. It holds its value during wars and economic crises. Gold is still the real money of governments. And Iraq has been quietly increasing its stash. After the 2003 war, Iraq's financial system was in ruins. The Iraqi dinar collapsed, and the banking system was barely functioning. But in 2004, the Central Bank of Iraq, or CBI, began to rebuild. They followed a very specific strategy: strengthen the reserves first, and then strengthen the currency later. And look at what happened. From very low levels in 2004, their gold reserves started increasing. By 2015, they began a major accumulation phase. From 2018 onwards, that increase became rapid, and between 2022 and 2024, Iraq's gold reserves hit record highs. Today, Iraq holds over 130 tons of gold. That puts it among the top gold-holding countries in the Middle East. And this is incredibly important because strong gold reserves directly increase a currency's credibility. It doesn't happen instantly, but it strengthens the currency structure for the long term. So why do countries buy gold before strengthening their currency? Central banks follow a predictable pattern. They don't just suddenly boost a currency's value overnight. Instead, they first increase their foreign currency and gold holdings. Then they work to stabilize inflation, control the exchange rate, and strengthen the banking system. Only after all that is done do they allow the currency to appreciate. This is the exact playbook China used with the yuan and what Russia did with the ruble after sanctions. Iraq appears to be following the same model, because if a country strengthens its currency too early, without the reserves to back it up, it risks collapse. But when it strengthens its reserves first, the currency becomes sustainable. Now, let's add the oil factor, which is Iraq's real power. Gold alone doesn't make Iraq unique, but its oil certainly does. Iraq is one of the top oil-rich nations in the world, with estimated reserves of over 145 billion barrels. This places it in the top 5 globally. Its oil exports generate tens of billions of dollars every single year. And here's the key. Oil is traded internationally in US dollars. This means Iraq is constantly receiving massive inflows of foreign currency, which builds up its foreign reserves and strengthens its central bank. When you combine that oil wealth with a growing pile of gold, you get an incredibly powerful monetary base. So does gold directly increase the dinar's value? This is where many investors get confused. Gold does not automatically revalue a currency overnight. Instead, gold does something much more important. It allows a central bank to safely support a stronger exchange rate. Think of it like this. Weak reserves mean a weak currency, while strong reserves allow for a controlled strong currency. Gold acts as insurance. It protects the central bank from currency attacks, runaway inflation, and banking crises. So gold isn't the trigger for a revaluation. It's the foundation that makes a stronger currency possible. What about the big secret that dinar investors are always talking about? Many believe Iraq will suddenly announce a new rate, like 1 Iraqi dinar to $1. There is no official statement from the Iraqi government that supports this idea. However, there is a real policy that Iraq has been working toward: exchange rate reform. The Central Bank of Iraq has repeatedly discussed modernizing the banking system, promoting electronic payments, and reducing the country's dependence on the US dollar. This all points to a desire for a stronger, more independent currency. Not a miracle overnight jump, but a gradual strengthening of the economy. You might remember that in 2020, Iraq actually devalued the dinar, which caused a lot of panic among investors. But from an economic standpoint, it made sense. Oil prices had crashed due to the pandemic, and government revenue collapsed. Iraq needed more dinars for every dollar it earned to pay salaries and fund its budget, so they adjusted the rate. This action shows something very important. Iraq is actively managing its currency. It isn't frozen. And that means in the future, when conditions improve, it can also be strengthened. So what would it actually take to raise the dinar's value? A real, sustainable currency appreciation would require a stable government, higher non-oil economic growth, major banking reforms, controlled inflation, and strong reserves, which includes both gold and foreign currency. Notice that gold is a critical part of the formula, but it's not the only factor. Let's be realistic. The Iraqi dinar is highly unlikely to become equal to the US dollar overnight, but at the same time, it's also unlikely to remain weak forever. Iraq is rebuilding its economy, and history shows us that countries rich in resources and reserves usually see their currency strengthen over time. Just look at the UAE dirham, the Saudi riyal, and the Kuwaiti dinar. In fact, after its reconstruction, the Kuwaiti dinar became the world's strongest currency. Iraq is on a similar path, just a much slower one. So, what is the big secret about Iraq's gold and the dinar? The secret isn't some hidden revaluation date. The real secret is the careful monetary preparation that's been happening behind the scenes. Iraq is increasing its gold, boosting its reserves, stabilizing its banking sector, and working to reduce its dependency on the dollar, gold doesn't create instant wealth for citizens. It creates confidence for the nation, and confidence is what ultimately strengthens a currency. The future of the Iraqi dinar won't depend on rumors. It will depend on economics. And for the first time in decades, Iraq's economic foundation is slowly but surely getting stronger. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more updates on the Iraqi dinar and global finance.